Hello and welcome to K News. This is Hardik Trivedi. Let's have a look on what is happening in India and in the world. Claims promoted by the Trump administration that the global coronavirus pandemic originated at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in the central Chinese city are a pure fabrication, the institute's director said. Wang Yanyi was quoted by state media on Sunday as saying the institute did not have any knowledge before that, nor had we ever met, researched or kept the virus. We didn't even know about the existence of the virus, so how could it leaked from our lab when we didn't have it? President Donald Trump and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo have repeatedly said that they suspect the virus that was first detected in Wuhan was somehow released from the laboratory. Most scientists say the pathogen that has infected 5.3 million and killed more than 342,000, according to tally by Johns Hopkins University, was passed from bat to humans via intermediary species like sold at a wet market in Wuhan last year. The virus toll continued to ebb in Asia and other parts of the world, with China on Sunday reporting 3 new confirmed cases and just 79 people remaining in treatment for COVID-19. The New York Times devoted Sunday's entire front page to a long list of names of people who have died in the pandemic. The names and brief descriptions culled from obituary from around the country fill 6 columns under the headline US deaths near 1 lakh. An incalculable loss. They were not simply names on a list, they were us. Read the subheadline. Hong Kong police fired volleys of tear gas in a popular shopping district as hundreds took the streets to march against China's proposed tough national security legislations for the city. Pro-democracy supporters in Hong Kong have sharply criticized China's proposal to enact a national security law that would ban secessionist and subversive activity, as well as foreign interference and terrorism in the semi-autonomous territory. Critics say it goes against the country two systems framework that promises the city freedoms not found on the mainland. On Sunday afternoon, crowds of protesters dressed in black gathered in Causeway Bay, a popular shopping district, to protest the proposed legislation. Protesters chanted slogans, stand with Hong Kong, revolution of our times. Prominent activist Tam Tak Chi was arrested during the protest for what police said was an unauthorized assembly. Tam said that he was giving a health talk and was exempt from social distancing measures that prohibit gatherings of more than 8 people. The protests come 2 days after the proposed bill was submitted on Friday, the opening day of China's national legislative session. Sunday's rallies are a constitution of a months-long pro-democracy movement that began last year and has times descended into violence between police and protesters. The new law, expected to be passed on May 28, would bypass the city's legislature and allow the Hong Kong government to set up mainland agencies in the city, sparking fears that this would allow Chinese agents to arbitrarily arrest people for activities deemed to be pro-democracy. Army and NDRF teams on Sunday helped Forest Department and civic agencies to get cyclone-ravaged West Bengal back on its feet. The teams reached areas like Salt Lake, Behala, Gold Park in the morning to clear the RTL and other linked roads blocked by uprooted trees. Army personnel equipped with road and tree clearance equipment started working at Roy Bahadur Road, Parnashri in Behla, Baliganj in South Kolkata and Salt Lake area, a defense official said. The army was deployed in Kolkata and neighboring districts on Saturday, hours after the West Bengal government sought its help and other supports for immediate restoration of essential infrastructure and services in the state ravaged by Cyclone Amphan. 5 columns of the army were deployed in different parts of the city and North and South 24 Parganas district, a defense official said. These 3 parts of the state reported the maximum damage due to the cyclone, which claimed 86 lives, flattened homes and damaged crops. The Forest Department and the Kolkata Municipal Corporation have also engaged their staffers in the road clearance work. Electricity and water supply remained affected in many parts of the city. Agitated residents blocked roads in several areas in South Kolkata on Saturday, demanding restoration of electricity and water supply, which are not available since Wednesday afternoon. In places like Mudilai and South Kolkata, locals stepped in with saw to clear roads blocked by uprooted trees. Mobile and internet services were restored in some areas of the city, even as many places in South 24 Parganas, North 24 Parganas and East Midnapur remained cut off. On Friday, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee described the situation as more than a national calamity and put the estimated loss at more than rupees 1 lakh crore. She had stated that more than 6 crore people have been affected by the cyclone. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with Banerjee, had conducted an aerial survey of affected areas in South and North 24 Parganas district on Friday. A special flight carrying 132 stranded Indians from Muscat landed at Gaya airport in Bihar on Sunday, officials said. None of the passengers exhibited symptoms of coronavirus during screening and medical examination. Of the 132 returnees, 116 are from Bihar and 16 from Jharkhand, Gaya Airport Director Dilip Kumar said. After completion of formalities like depositing returnees' passport at the immigration counters by the district administration, the residents of Bihar were sent to various hotels in Bodh Gaya for 14 days quarantine, the official said. Those from Jharkhand were sent to the states in a vehicle dispatched by the Jharkhand government. Magad Divisional Commissioner Asabanga Chuba, Gaya District Magistrate Abhishek Singh, SSP Rajiv Mishra and the airport director welcomed the returnees on their arrival with kits containing sanitizer and soaps. On May 18, a chartered plane had landed at Gaya airport with 41 Indians stranded in London. Around 300 people from Myanmar stranded in different parts of the Bihar and Uttar Pradesh due to the coronavirus lockdown had left for their country in a charter flight on April 22. On April 24, 171 Buddhist monks and tourists returned to Thailand in a charter flight from Gaya. They had come to India to visit the Buddhist circuit of Gaya, Rajgir, Kaushalnagar, Varanasi and Vaishali. Around 3 lakh industrial units have resumed operations in Gujarat, engaging over 25 lakh workers after post-lockdown relaxations announced by the state government, Ashwini Kumar, secretary to the Chief Minister, said on Saturday. He said electricity consumption of these industrial units was around 82% of the normal period, which was a clear indication that industrial production is getting back to normalcy. The Vijay Rupani government has allowed industrial units to operate across the state, except those located in containment zones. Industrial units need to follow standard guidelines, including thermal screening of workers, staggered entry and exit, and lunch time, as well as social distancing norms. Addressing the media, Kumar said construction activities have also resumed in both government and private sectors in urban areas. As many as 834 government construction projects related to houses of economically weaker sections under PM Awas Yojana, low-income group projects, metro rail link work, etc. have resumed across 8 municipal corporations and 162 municipalities, and 25,000 workers are involved in them, Kumar informed. Private construction projects were also allowed to resume, and 264 such projects involving 21,000 workers have started. Investments through participatory notes in the domestic capital market increased to rupees 57,000 crore as of April 30, after falling to over 15-year low at the end of the preceding month. P-notes are issued by registered foreign portfolio investors (FPIs) to overseas investors who wish to be part of the Indian stock market without registering themselves directly. They, however, need to go through a due diligence process. According to SEBI data, the value of P-note investments in Indian markets, equity, debt, hybrid securities and derivatives stood at rupees 57,000 crore until April, while the same was at rupees 48,000 crore at the end of March. The figure at March end was the lowest level of investment since October 2004, when the total value of P-note investments in Indian markets stood at rupees 44,586 crore. The lower figure in March comes amid significant volatility in broader markets on concerns over coronavirus triggered recession. Of the total rupees 57,000 crore invested through the route till April, rupees 46,000 crore was invested in equities, 10,000 crore in debts, 177 crore in the derivatives segment and 139 crore in hybrid securities. Arjun Mahajan, head of institutional business at Reliance Securities, said the March P-note figure should be seen in conjunction with the big sell-off in Nifty, which hit a low of 7,511 on March 24. There was global panic and risk of trade, which saw panic selling globally, and India was no different. The month of April saw some risk returning, and therefore P-note numbers went back up. Besides, another anecdotal evidence is the FPI outflows. The month of March saw an outflow to the tune of over rupees 62,000 crore, so it needs to be looked at in a global sell-off perspective. The pace of sell-off by such investors dropped in April rupees 69,000 crore. Meanwhile, FPIs withdrew a net sum of rupees 14,000 crore from the capital market in April. This was much lower than over rupees 1.2 lakh crore pulled out of by them the preceding month. It's time for a short break. We'll join you in a short while.
आपका स्वागत है शीतल स्माइली पार्लर में, जो हमारी सालों की मेहनत और आपके साथ का नतीजा है। शीतल स्माइली पार्लर में आपको मिलेगा आपका मनभावन स्वाद, मनोहर वातावरण और मेहमान नवाजी। यहाँ पे होता है गुणवत्ता, सेहत और स्वाद का संगम। यहाँ रिश्तों को बनाया, निभाया और सजाया जाता है। शीतल स्माइली पार्लर आपके पास, आपके शहर में।
Dress up your Tundi fan with the cooler number one. Take a chase go more fun, take cooler number one. Take a don't run from the sun, take Insta number one. इतना सुंदर जैसे कोई सपना सुहाना, मैं दीवाना दीवाना।
कचारिया टाइम्स, जो देखे वो दीवाना।
Welcome back to K News and thank you for watching. Let's continue the streak of news. A special court here on Saturday took cognizance of the charge sheet filed by the ED in Yes Bank scam and issued summons to the bank's co-founder Rana Kapoor and 7 other accused. The charge sheet filed earlier this month named as accused Rana Kapoor, his wife, daughters and 3 firm associate with them along others. After taking cognizance of the offence, the Special Court for Prevention of Money Laundering Act issued summons against the 8 accused. ED lawyer Hiten Vengaonkar said the accused have been asked to appear before the court on June 5. The ED has already arrested Kapoor, who is now in judicial custody. The agency has pegged the process of the crime in the case of rupees 5,050 crore. It is preliminary investigating Kapoor, his wife and 3 daughters over rupees 600 crore received by a firm allegedly controlled by them from an entity linked the scam hit Diwan Housing Finance Limited. Kapoor, his family members and others got benefits of rupees 4,300 crores through companies controlled by them as kickbacks of sanctioning huge loans, the ED has alleged. He is also accused of receiving bribes for going easy on loans given to a few big corporate groups that had turned into NPA. The Central Bureau of Investigation is also probing a related case. Human life is precious and cannot be wasted, the Gujarat High Court said on Saturday, pulling up the civil hospital in Ahmedabad, one of the largest in the country, for its handling of COVID-19 cases and patients. Labeling the hospital that has recorded over 350 COVID-19 deaths a dungeon, the court pointed out that poor and helpless patients had no options but to rely on it during this medical crisis. As we said earlier that the civil hospital is meant to treat the patients. However, it appears that as on date it is as good as a dungeon, maybe even worse than a dungeon. Unfortunately, the poor and helpless patients have no options, the order read. The civil hospital has reported the highest number of coronavirus related deaths in the state, the bench observed. If we calculate weekly deaths, the civil hospital will contribute to the highest number of deaths during the last weeks. It is very distressing to note that most of the patients in the civil hospital are dying after 4 days or more of the treatment. This indicates complete lack of critical care. Gujarat has reported over 13,000 COVID-19 cases and 829 deaths so far, the third highest state tally after Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. Ahmedabad alone has more than 10,000 cases with 277 fresh incidents of the infection detected Saturday. The city has reported 669 deaths linked to the virus. In its order, the court also slammed the state's health minister Nitin Patel, seeking a report from Vijay Rupani-led state government. We are very sorry to state that the civil hospital Ahmedabad as on date appears to be in extremely bad shape. Ordinarily, the citizens hailing from a poor strata of society are being treated as at the civil hospital. This does not mean that human life is not to be protected. Human life is extremely precious and it should not be allowed to be lost at a place like the civil hospital at Ahmedabad. We wonder how many times the health minister of the state has visited the civil hospital at Ahmedabad so as to keep a watch or take stock of what is going on at the civil hospital. Does the health minister of the state of Gujarat has any idea about the problems which the patients, doctors, nursing staff and other employees are facing as on date? The court asked during the hearing. The civil hospital in Asarwa area is also regarded as one of the biggest civic-run medical facilities in Asia. It has allotted 1200 beds to treat COVID-19 patients. However, most patients are being treated in general wards. It has been submitted that the SVP and civil hospital, all the COVID-19 patients are being treated in a general ward only, and the rooms continue to remain unoccupied, leading to an artificial shortage of beds. Everyone must be permitted to have a COVID test done, the court said, adding that the rates for testing by private laboratories must have a ceiling cap, which is the present case is rupees 4,500. Earlier this week, Congress MLA from Ahmedabad, Gyasuddin Sheikh, had raised questions on the high mortality and low discharge rate at the civil hospital, seeking intervention of the National Human Rights Commission. In a letter to NHRC, Mr. Sheikh had alleged that negligence and improper treatment given to COVID-19 patients in Ahmedabad Civil Hospital is leading to high number of deaths. Across India, more than 1.3 lakh people have been affected due to the pandemic. Nearly 3,800 have died. Reliance Industries Limited has launched an online grocery service, JioMart. The head of its grocery retail business said in a move aimed at rivaling Amazon. JioMart will deliver groceries in more than 200 towns across the country. Chief Executive of Grocery Retail at the Indian conglomerate said on Twitter late on Saturday. Mumbai headquartered Reliance has not announced JioMart's launch at time of this, selling 7 billion in new shares. Reliance launched a small pilot of JioMart deliveries in selected areas of the Indian financial capital Mumbai late last month, days after announcing that Facebook would spend 5.7 billion for 9.99% stake in the company's digital unit Jio Platforms. That partnership will help Reliance roll out services for India's grocers and small businesses by capitalizing on India's 40 crore strong users base for Facebook WhatsApp messaging service. JioMart, the e-commerce venture of Reliance retail arm, offers free express grocery delivery from neighborhood stores. It will pose a formidable challenge to local rivals, which are also betting big groceries for their growth. The launch comes as India is witnessing a surge in coronavirus cases. A person familiar with the matter told the product catalog on JioMart's website will be expanded after lockdown restrictions aimed to curb the spread of the new coronavirus are eased. The oil-to-telecoms giant controlled by India's richest man Mukesh Ambani did not immediately respond to an email seeking comment on the launch. Reliance is on a fundraising spare with Jio Platforms, which houses telecom ventures. Jio Infocom winning a massive 10 billion from investors including Facebook, KKR and General Atlantic in a month. Maharashtra today said it is anticipating more coronavirus cases and needs time to prepare for the opening of the aviation sector. The lockdown cannot be lifted even by May 31, the deadline for lockdown 4, said Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, whose state has 47,000 out of 131,000 coronavirus cases in the country. I spoke to the Aviation Minister. I understand the need of opening up air travel, but we need more time to prepare, Uddhav Thackeray said during an address to the people of the state. For now, the state will just continue to operate special flights, including international transfer passengers, medical emergencies for students and others on compassionate grounds. The Chief Minister also said he wants the Mumbai airport to fine-tune its operations and come up with a plan. The next 15 days would be crucial, the Chief Minister said. A lot of movement of people is expected, anticipating more cases as well. so things can be opened up only gradually. We won't lift lockdown now. We can't say that lockdown will be over by May 31. Need to be extra cautious during monsoon. The resumption of domestic flights announced by the centre earlier this week become a matter of uncertainty in Maharashtra, indicated its unwillingness to go with the centre's plan. Though states cannot veto centre's plan to run open aviation, they can stop passengers from getting on aircraft. Besides Maharashtra, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu, home to the busy Kolkata and Chennai airports, objected to the centre's plan to restart passenger flights from today. Tamil Nadu, which has the second highest number of cases, too has raised similar concerns as Maharashtra. Bengal, battered by the cyclone Amphan, requested for relief till May 31. Mr. Thackeray said as on when Maharashtra lifts the lockdown, it will be done in a phased manner. We are having gradual opening of economy. Must stop virus first. Will announce packages later, he added. Apparently addressing his predecessor BJP's Devendra Fadnavis' query on why the state is not announcing packages. The Indian Army today denied reports that any of its soldiers were detained by Chinese troops in Ladakh. However, the army did not reply to specific queries on whether jawans of the Indo-Tibetan Border Police or ITBP, who were part of the joint patrol, were detained before being released. A statement from the army read, "There has been no detention of Indian soldiers at the borders. We categorically deny this." Sources have told that some jawans in a patrol party was detained by Chinese forces in Ladakh near the Pangong Lake earlier this week. Following the scuffle between the two sides, the situation coming amid tensions along the line of actual control was diffused after a meeting of commanders from both sides. Sources said the Prime Minister's office was briefed about the matter. The spokesperson of the Indian Army, Colonel Aman Anand, was also not willing to respond to queries on whether any of the weapons carried by the ITBP jawans were snatched or lost. On May 9, at least 15 to 20 members of the Indian patrol team were involved in hand-to-hand fighting at the high-altitude pocket. In a statement later, Army said aggressive behavior by the two sides resulted in minor injuries to troops. The two sides disengaged after dialogue and interaction at local level. Temporary and short-duration face-offs between border guarding troops do occur as boundaries are not resolved. Incident of face-off as referred to in the article did take place. Troops resolve such issues mutually as per established protocols, the statement read. Senior Home Ministry officials said the situation was volatile. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is being briefed on the situation every day. Sources said Army Chief General M.M. Narawane visited Leh headquarters of the 14 Corps in Ladakh on Friday to assess the situation. That's all for now. Keep watching Key News. This is Hardik Trivedi taking your leave. Be alert, be positive, be safe.